Oh, people actually do that? Buy it nice or buy it twice. What does it mean? I am probably a lot older than some of you guys think. That's the like cool bit of microtrans. I think less of you as a human being. 2026 is finally here, and over the past couple of weeks, people have been talking about their 2026 no-buy lists. There isn't really much for me to explain here. These are just lists of things that people are aiming to go without buying throughout the next year. And for those of you that know me and my channel, you'll know that I am so happy to see more and more influencers talking about the importance of consuming and spending responsibly. If you're new here, hi, I'm Rachel. I discuss social media trends, influencers, viral things, and responsible consumption, but like I make it fun and cool. Well, I try to anyway. So let's take a look at what these people are aiming to stop buying in 2026. As always, all of the credits for these videos are in the description, but you can also see the TikTok usernames down here if you want to go check out any of these creators. Okay, let's go.
Say it with me, saving your money and being financially responsible is actually cool. So here are my 2026 no-buy list, or you can also call this my spending rules for 2026. As a 25-year-old girl who works a regular 9-to-5 job, is also married, and is trying to buy a home in the next few years.
I like how we have the iPad ready. She's got the list. Let's do this.
First on my no-buy list is no new technology in 2026. I do not need the newest iPhone. I do not need to upgrade my laptop, my camera. I'm trying to be content with what I have.
I feel like more and more people need to have this mind frame of like, you do not need the newest iPhone. You just don't. I don't. As somebody who has always had iPhones, I get the appeal, I get why everyone loves them. I will forever be an iPhone girly, but iPhones are so expensive. So to be buying the new iPhone all the time, I'm just like, how? Like, how are you guys doing that? This was also one of the things on my no-buy list this year. Even though my phone is an iPhone 11, I think, and I have had it since 2019, it still works fine. It has no issues. It's not running slow, so I will not be buying a new one. And I feel like with a lot of people, especially maybe younger people, like having the new iPhone is kind of like a status thing. You know, if you have the newest iPhone, it's like super cool, right? And I feel like as you get older, it's like, I would rather have the money. So yes, no new tech, no new phone. I like it.
Next on the list is no nail salon visit. This is a big one for me because I used to get my nails done pretty regularly, but I actually stopped going 6 months ago now, and I've been doing just my own nails at home.
This is another really good one as well. This was a change that I also made over the last year to stop having any kind of like beauty treatments done. For me, it was eyelashes. Like I always wanted an eyelash lift and tint. And I feel like post-COVID, everyone kind of put their prices up as well. So it was getting more and more expensive. And I saw this ad on Instagram for this brand who does like a lash lift and tint kit. So I bought it, and I've been doing my own lash lifts and tints from home ever since. It is so much easier. I don't need to make an appointment. It has been so worth it money-wise. As long as you spend a little bit of time making sure that you learn how to do it properly and that you are safe doing it, then yeah, absolutely look into that. As long as you put the time and research into learning how to do it properly and without causing any harm to yourself.
I've been doing just my own nails at home, and do I miss it sometimes? But this is just one of those things that I personally think is just not that worth it. And it's as simple as I don't really want to spend $80 anymore every 3 to 4 weeks. I make an exception for this, maybe like 1 or 2 pedicure in the summer, and that is all.
I feel like as well with things like this, if you cut down on the amount that you're doing them, it becomes more special. You know, for example, like if you're starting to do your nails at home all the time, then like that's great. But say it's your birthday coming up and you do actually go out and spend that money on getting your nails done by someone else, I feel like it becomes more of a nicer thing to do rather than kind of like routine maintenance almost.
Next on my list is guilt spending for others. I am all about being a good friend for my friends, obviously, and I'm all about having a good time together, but I really want to be mindful with this in 2026. If it's just for the sake of making others happy, I would rather not, because at the end of the day, I'm still spending my money.
That's an interesting one. Guilt spending. I've never really thought of it as like a solid thing like that before, but I feel like maybe I am a little bit guilty of this, or at least I have been in the past. You know, kind of that feeling of like, I feel like I need to spend this much money on this person for this birthday. I feel like I need to get this person this because I haven't seen them in a while. And I feel like oftentimes a lot of these kind of like expectations of spending we create for ourselves, when in reality the people that we love in our lives couldn't really care about how much money we spend on them. So yeah, I feel like if you're someone that can kind of identify that you do that sometimes, that might be a good one to reevaluate for the next year.
Next is not getting coffee or matcha out except for for social thing or work. For Christmas, my husband and I got our dream espresso machine. It has been so good to just make your coffee at home, and honestly it tastes so much better than getting your coffee out. But also at the same time, I love to go, to a cute coffee shop. I'm limiting this one to 2 times a month.
For me, this one isn't like a huge thing because I don't like drinks really. I don't like coffee, I don't like matcha. So luckily for me, this has never been a thing, like going out and being like, oh, I really want to get a coffee right now. But I do see it a lot in other people, and yeah, I can see how that money really racks up. I feel like it's a huge thing in kind of like influencer videos as well. In my last video, we reviewed some come shopping with me like influencer vlogs, and the amount of influencers that started off the vlog by being like, okay, we're gonna go shopping today, but first I need to grab coffee. And I'm like, do you need to grab coffee? Like, do you need it in your soul? Maybe. Can you not make coffee at home? Is it not the same? I'm sure making your own coffee at home just isn't as satisfying as going out and getting it from somewhere like, I don't know, are there any coffee shops left with good morals? I feel like it's one of those things where like if you can kick the habit of thinking, okay, I'm going out, I'm going shopping, I'm going somewhere, I need coffee, I need a drink, you might find that you save a lot of money in the next year. And I like how she set a reasonable kind of limit for herself with this one. Obviously buying yourself nice things and having a nice drink every once in a while is very normal. So I think as long as you can set boundaries for yourself and set kind of like limits, like I'm gonna go and get a nice drink 2 times a month, and if you can stick to that, then yeah, that's just as good as being like, I'm not gonna do it ever again. I feel like people get so used to doing these things as part of their daily routine, and then it becomes normalized, and then it becomes kind of like a consistent spend that they're having weekly, monthly, and it really does add up. Coffee is not cheap. Like these pretty little matchas that people are getting, they're like, £6 for a little drink. You're getting like $8 coffee every day. Where are you guys getting this money from? Like, can you guys point me in the direction of this money tree that seems to be in everyone's back garden? Because I don't have one of those. Oh, and another good point that she's making is, if there's something that you kind of go out and buy from places, have a look and see if there is an alternative way of doing that for yourself at home. I feel like so many things, so many services, so many goods, so many foods, so many drinks, we are so used to going out and getting, whereas there is pretty much always an alternative version we can do for ourselves at home. Obviously, as I say, it's not as nice having to do everything for yourself at home, and it is important to go out and support local businesses, like the small local coffee shops, anywhere that isn't Starbucks, basically. Supporting small places, small shops, small businesses is still important. So if you're going out and buying something like a coffee, then, maybe aim to go to somewhere like a small business instead, rather than going to, wherever else.
Next, I don't really subscribe to the whole idea of buy it nice or buy it twice, because sometimes it's really not about the price. Something could be expensive just because of the brand, and it could still not be a good material.
Whenever I make these kind of like reacting to TikTokers videos, I never watch these videos before I make the video. I like to blind react to everything, so you guys are getting like a genuine reaction from me. But as I was skimming through, I did see a couple people talk about this buy it nice or buy it twice, I think it is. I'm guessing it means like buy... What does it mean? Buy it nice or buy it twice. Okay, I'm guessing it means like buy a good quality version of something, because if you're buying a cheap version of something, then you're gonna end up buying it twice because the first one is gonna be low quality, so you're gonna have to replace it. I think that's the general vibe of this phrase. However, I do agree with what this creator is saying, and I've made videos in the past talking about how buying expensive things isn't necessarily better than buying cheap, because sometimes when you buy expensive things, you are literally just buying for a brand name, but also how buying cheap things isn't necessarily like a great idea too, because I know you can get a lot more for your money if you go with cheaper options, but if you're buying something really cheap that's low quality, it's gonna break easier, it's gonna get worn out, and then you're gonna have to replace that item sooner. So yeah, I guess like buy it nice or you're gonna end up buying it twice. So I really do think this is kind of like, you have to take it on a case-by-case basis.
When it comes to clothes, instead of looking at brands when buying clothes or just fashion items in general, I look at the material. And if I can see the specific item lasting me the next 2 years, and if that's a no, then I would rather skip it.
I am gonna be completely honest with you guys. Things like fashion and clothing and materials has never interested me. I don't know anything about materials. I don't know what materials are good, what materials are bad. Polyester bad, I think, is the vibe. And I guess it's because I have kind of like no interest in fashion anyway, as you can probably tell. So yeah, maybe this should be something that I put on my kind of like things that I need to educate myself about in 2026. I think just in general for me, it's more of a case of when I buy something, can I see myself wearing this item of clothing still in 3 years' time? In terms of like what the item of clothing looks like. I have not grown or changed size since I was about 16 years old. So some of the clothes that I bought when I was 16, I am still wearing today. Not literally today, but you know. So yeah, I guess I learned from quite a young age that if I'm gonna buy something, I am gonna end up with that item of clothing for years and years to come. So I always need to be buying things that I'm not gonna be embarrassed to wear in like 2 years' time. I've had a lot of those. But going forward, I should probably pay more attention to things like materials.
Next one is no new makeup or skincare unless I'm out. I am 25 now and I feel like I know what actually works for me and my skin in terms of skincare. Like I do not need to have a 10-step skincare routine. Personally, I also do not need to have like 5 different eyeshadow palettes because I don't really use eyeshadow to begin with.
I haven't really spoken about like Project Pan yet on this channel. It is on my to-do list. I have a lot of thoughts about Project Pan, and I have a lot of thoughts about influencers who make Project Pan content, but then also continue to make like quite excessive makeup content. And I'm waiting until I've like solidified on those thoughts and like properly kind of like educated myself before I make a video about it. When people say to me like, I'm doing Project Pan, I'm like, okay, that's great, but like, isn't the point of buying something to use it? Like, were you not doing that anyway? And I know that's a very like, kind of like judgmental way of looking at it, because to me that's normal. Like buying something and using it until it runs out is normal. But yeah, I do know that that's quite like a judgmental way of looking at it, just because from my perspective, like everybody should be doing Project Pan as a default. So yes, this is why I'm taking my time to kind of like think about it and see it from other people's perspectives before I make a whole video about it, because I do want to make sure that I'm like taking other people's perspectives and experiences into account when I talk about things. But I do 100% understand that Project Pan is a great thing for people to do if they've been over consuming on things like makeup and skincare. So yeah, I guess if you're one of those people, then Project Pan it in 2026.
Last thing on my list, no to multiple streaming subscriptions or app subscriptions in general. I'm really going to look at my subscription list and see what I actually want to keep for 2026.
Subscriptions are so expensive these days. And I feel like subscriptions are one of those things where people just kind of like subscribe to all of these things and then they almost like forget about it sometimes. And then you see the monthly charge come out of your bank account and you're like, oh, I really need to cancel that. And then you're like, okay, well, I'll do it in a month's time so I can still use it up until the next payment, and then you forget again and you forget again. So yes, having a look at your subscriptions is a good thing to do. I feel like my subscription list is pretty low at the minute. To be completely honest, the main thing that I use for watching things is Crunchyroll, and I use my friend's Crunchyroll account, so that's nice. I use YouTube Music, but I ain't paying for premium. I do have a yearly Duolingo membership that I bought last December, so I guess maybe it's run out now. I don't know. I really hope that hasn't resubscribed. I should probably go check that. I am trying to learn Spanish at the minute because my boyfriend's family are all Spanish speaking, but I feel like these days Duolingo are just using more and more AI, which I am not about. So yeah, I'm not gonna lie, I had like a really solid like 4 months of doing Duolingo and then I just kind of like stopped. So yes, things like that you have to reevaluate for yourselves. And at the start of a new year is a good time to do it. All right, let's see what we got next.
Buy list in 2026 as someone who's trying to save 40,000 pounds next year. I buy a lot of skincare. Granted, I feel like it's a great deal, but the problem is that I bought so much that it doesn't even fit in my medicine cabinet. So I end up storing it in this pure soul bag here that I haven't even gone through to look at. So my goal for 2026 is to not buy any skincare unless I truly run out of that product.
I honestly love these videos because these creators are kind of like identifying their own consumer habits that they want to change and telling us like why and how they want to change them. It is so nice to see people and creators like reflect on those things and actually kind of like admitting, I guess, that they have been doing something less than ideal, and also making content that influences people to want to change those things. I have said it before and I will say it again, like I Don't care if you have overconsumed in the past. Like, I am not gonna be like, ugh, oh my god, I think less of you as a human being. I've overconsumed in the past. Like, oh my gosh, you guys. If you could see some of the things that I have bought in the past and like some of the like collections that I cultivated, is that the right word? You know what I mean? You would be like, oh my god, like, who are you? So yeah, like, if you've overconsumed in the past, like, whatever, it's fine. As long as you are taking steps going forward to change those habits, that is what matters. Like, that's the only thing that I care about. And you know what they say, identifying that you have a problem is the first step to recovery. I think that's what they say. So it's so good if you can take a look at your own consumer habits and be like, okay, I am buying way too much skincare, I am buying all this makeup and I am not using it. Things like that. As long as you can identify those things and kind of set yourself some limits and boundaries for the time going forward, then that is amazing. Again, another one of these things that I say it time and time again, and I feel like people never really kind of like take it on board when I say it. Being a consumer is not a problem. Like, people need to buy things. People can buy things that they like. People can have fun. That's what life is all about, like having fun. It's when the having fun turns into something that is damaging the environment, damaging the planet, that's when it's not so cute anymore. That's when I get a little bit unhappy. So yes, buying yourself nice things is not an issue. This is not something that I have ever said in my life. As long as you are doing so responsibly and like normally. I don't really like using the word normally because like, what is normal really? But you know what I mean. As long as you're being like responsible and like normal about it and you're not cultivating these like massive collections of things that never get used, it's fine. It's okay.
Second thing is not buying any new tech. I have this iPad that I bought last year that has only been used a handful of times. I think the cycle count on it is 47.
The iPad curse.
I haven't. The last thing is shoes. I tend to wear the same shoes every day. On top of that, I also have new shoes that are just sitting in my closet that I also haven't worn. So I need to go through those before I start buying new ones.
I feel like shoes is another thing that I have really stopped buying a lot of recently. As in like, I don't think I've bought a new pair of shoes for like 2 years. That's a lie. I got a new pair of shoes last year, but they were like a replacement of an old pair that I had worn to the bone. As I get older, and I am probably a lot older than some of you guys think. As I get older, I care less and less about things like fashion, how cool I look, how trendy the things are that I'm buying. Many years ago, I bought this pair of Nike trainers from a charity shop and they were like pretty much brand new and they were £10. It was like the craziest find ever. I was so happy and I wore them so much. Like, oh my goodness, they were so good, so comfortable. And you know when you wear something so much that you don't realize how worn out they are? And I genuinely must have worn these shoes for like 8 years. And it was only probably last year that I was like, okay, I feel like these shoes definitely have holes in them by now. So I went out and bought a replacement, like the closest pair of shoes that I could find to this pair of trainers that I'd had. And genuinely, they are the only shoes that I wear now. Like, I do not care about looking cool. I don't care about getting the new like pair of Adidas sneakers. I feel like as you get older, you just stop caring. And I do get it, like, because trust me, when I was a kid, when I was a teenager, like I cared. Wanting to fit in and wanting to kind of like be trendy, I feel like is a normal part of being a kid. But I guess perhaps for my viewers that are a little bit older like myself, like you can relate when I say that eventually you just kind of stop caring and it becomes more of like a comfort over coolness thing. Okay, next up we have my rules for a no spend 2026. And the caption says minimal spending and underconsumption is cute. Yes, it is, queen. Tell him.
As someone who is going into her 20s and saving up for a house, I thought there was no better time for me to have a no-spend 2026. Number 1, 30-day waiting period for any clothing purchase.
Wait, what did she say? Huh? Are there any captions on this? Unavailable. I think she said a 30-day waiting period on any clothing purchases.
And I think waiting 30 days kind of defeats the purpose of like micro trends, because in 30 days something might not be as popular as it is in the moment when I'm like obsessed with it. In 30 days I might be like, ew, why did I ever want that?
I feel like I'm ascending right now. I feel like Gojo. You guys have no idea how refreshing it is to like be reacting to influencers doing good things for once. Micro trends are such a big thing in terms of like over-consuming, just hopping on trends, buying things, and then getting sick of them in a few days. I would say the biggest one in 2025 was perhaps Labubus, I want to say. Labubus were so hyped up, but they were hyped up for such a small period of time that everybody jumped onto that so quickly. Everybody wanted a Labubu, everybody was buying them. And then as soon as the hype died down, maybe like 2 months later, I feel like you get kind of like the reversal. We get like the reverse curse technique where the Labubu and the coolness kind of like clash in the wrong ways. And now it's like, if you have a Labubu, you're kind of like, so 2 months ago, and it's just like not cool anymore. There are probably lots of YouTubers that have made a lot of like well researched videos about the psychology behind microtrends. So there's probably videos out there that you can watch that explain microtrends a lot better than I'm going to, because I don't really know much about anything. But for me, I think the kind of like psychology behind microtrends is not the trend itself, it's the ability to keep up with trends that is cool. Like if you are somebody that has the ability to keep up with all of these microtrends, if you're constantly being on the next coolest thing, that's what makes you cool. It's not like the individual items like the Labubus that make you cool. It's the ability to keep up with things like social media. It's the ability to, you know, see a celebrity have something one day and then like you have it the next day. You know, that's the like cool bit of microtrends. I guess that's the way that I see it. And I feel like there's a lot that I could say about the word cool, like what makes somebody cool. Actually, the first video that I ever posted on this channel before I started posting about overconsumption was a video on how to be cool, in my opinion. And I talked a lot about how cool isn't really a thing. Most cool people just copy other cool people. But yeah, I feel like if you can get out of this habit of just kind of like following trends all the time, wanting to jump on the next trend, wanting to have the next coolest thing, then it becomes a lot easier to stay away from these microtrends and consume less.
Okay, number 2, no food delivery apps. If I am that hungry for a specific food, I can go out and get it. And if I don't go out and get it, then I don't want it that bad.
She's so right. Like, if you want something that badly, go out and get it. I guess it's different if you don't have like the transport means to go, so this really does depend on the individual person and your situation. But yeah, if you're somebody that can quite easily get up, hop in a car and go drive to somewhere to get food, if you're not willing to do that, then do you really want the food that badly? I don't use food delivery apps at all, but I have done in the past back when I lived at university, and oh my goodness, you guys, those fees are crazy. I feel like they bump up the price of the food anyway on these apps. Then you have like the delivery fee, the service fee, the tip if you're somewhere where tipping culture is normal. Yeah, it gets so freaking expensive. But like I said, I do understand that this does depend on your sort of transport situation. For people with things like limited accessibility, I can see how these things are more needed.
No purchases after 9 p.m. Obviously, this excludes foods and like outings and drinks and whatever. But if I'm just in bed, like scrolling.
No purchases after 9 p.m. That's a good one. Again, this depends on the individual person. I don't really do much online shopping anyway, so I feel like most of my purchases are done in the day. But I can see where she's coming from in terms of if you're somebody that kind of like lies in bed, you're scrolling on shopping websites, then yeah, I can see how that can definitely become a habit. I feel like a lot of what we can learn from these videos is that like if you have a habit that you are aware of and you can identify it, doesn't matter what that habit is because everybody's habits are, you know, personal and individual to you. As long as you can identify that habit, you can put things in place to stop that from happening. For me, on a similar note, I have recently stopped myself from going on Instagram and Twitter specifically, I think after 9:30 p.m. and before 9:30 a.m. Only Instagram and only Twitter. All the other apps like I can go on, it's fine. But I found myself a lot going on Instagram and Twitter and like reading things that kind of like stress me out a little, or you know, like going on Instagram and like seeing things and then falling down a rabbit hole of like stalking someone, or going on Instagram reels. So yes, it's about identifying habits that you have that are less than healthy for yourself and putting boundaries in place to stop you from doing those habits.
Okay, this one I think is really important, and I try and do this in my everyday life now, but I'm going to try even harder. No purchasing items that duplicate an existing function. So like if I have one black jumper, that's the black jumper function kind of cut out.
As I talked about previously, I have quite like limited consumer habits anyways, so this is a rule that I already kind of try to follow. If I have something that does something, I don't need to buy a second thing that does the same thing. My biggest one at the minute is I really want another Coach handbag. I have one handbag. It's the most expensive item of clothing / accessory that I own. I have a whole video about my bag and what's in it on my channel. You can go watch that one day if you want. And like buying this bag for myself was such a big deal. I don't have another handbag that I use. I really do use it a lot. Should I buy it in the lighter color? But do I need it in a second color? Probably not. I just really want it in the second color. And I've been having this back and forth with myself for like 6 months now. I probably won't buy it in the second color because it's just, it's not necessary. I don't know. Maybe when my first one starts getting like visibly worn out, then I will buy it in a second color.
Okay, replacement only on makeup. If you know me, I have so much makeup, it is actually quite disgusting. Like, I'm really ashamed of myself in a way because it's really giving overconsumption core.
Yes, queen.
But
Self-aware
in my defense,
queen.
I do get sent a lot of makeup and then I just don't know what to do with it. I try and give as much away to my friends, but if I've tried it, I don't want to give it away. Whatever.
I love it when people are self-aware and they are not ashamed of admitting that they have done things that are not great. I love that. I'm a little bit the same with makeup. Not that I have a huge makeup collection. I really don't. But I do have a couple of things left from being sent PR from companies back when I used to be like a proper little influencer. Companies would send me makeup. Colourpop have sent me so much makeup, particularly eyeshadow palettes. I do have quite a few eyeshadow palettes. A lot of stuff I've given away. I've given to family, I've given to friends, and obviously I don't receive PR anymore, so that's not like an ongoing thing. But there is quite a lot of stuff that like I have tried or I have swatched, so I've basically used it and now I don't really want to give it away because, you know, I feel like passing on used cosmetics, like it's not really sanitary. You can't give used cosmetics to charity, again, because it's like a sanitary thing. I don't want to straight up throw these things away because that's wasteful. So there are quite a few bits of makeup that I am kind of holding onto in the hopes that one day in my life I will end up using them. And I'm sure I will. But yeah, I think that can definitely contribute to these like big makeup collections is when you get something and you use it maybe like once or twice and you decide that you don't like it, like the shade isn't for you, whatever, and then you're kind of stuck with it because you can't give it away, you can't pass it on, you can't give it to charity, you don't want to throw it away, then what do you do with it, you know?
No freaking jewelry. I have all the jewelry in the world. You can see right now my rings stacked out.
I am always so jealous of people who just know how to work with jewelry. Like they have the cute ring stacks, they have a necklace that looks good, like they can pull off the big earrings. I am just not that kind of person at all. I wish I was, I guess, because maybe then I would look a little bit more put together. I guess in a way it's kind of good because I don't end up buying a bunch of jewelry anymore because I know that I don't know what I'm doing with it. But yeah, I do wish I had a little bit more of a clue when it came to jewelry and making jewelry look good. But again, I feel like jewelry is one of those things where like jewelry can be so cheap that it becomes really easy to just buy more and more jewelry all the time. And obviously cheap jewelry is often low quality jewelry, so it's gonna tarnish super quick, it's gonna break maybe. So yeah, I definitely do see how people end up with these massive jewelry collections. So perhaps it's a good thing that I don't know what I'm doing in life.
This one I already do. Don't buy anything that's not an immediate yes. Like if you're not 100% sure about something, if you're like, oh, it's cute, but like, no, you're not getting it. Immediate yes is only.
This is something that I started doing probably only just like last year. I probably should have started doing it way earlier than that. And I was particularly bad for what I refer to as hopeful purchases. I haven't really talked about this so far on my channel, but I will sometime in the future. But these are purchases where you see something and you're like, okay, I can't see myself really being the kind of person to wear that, for example, but I really like it. So I'm gonna buy it in the hopes that I will then wear it, because obviously if I spend enough money on it, then I'm gonna kind of like be forced to wear it. The biggest thing that I did this with last year was a Lululemon jacket. I know, I'm sorry. I saw them on TikTok a bunch back when I was you know how it was. Let's just say I was different, okay? Yeah, I saw these jackets a bunch. I didn't really know anything about the brand. I just knew that these jackets looked really good on people, and it's like sportswear. And back then I was like, you know what? Like, I'm trying to get a little bit more active. I was trying to get into Pilates. So I was like, okay, I wear a lot of comfortable clothing. Like, look at me, like this is just my everyday outfit. I always prioritize comfort over looking good. And you know, this jacket, it does not look comfortable, right? So I was like, I kind of want one because like they look really good, but like realistically, am I gonna wear this? Because this is not gonna be comfortable. I'm probably not gonna sit around in my house and wear one of these. But I went to one of the stores, I tried it on, and it did look really, really good. I can't lie. So sure enough, I walked away with this 100-pound Lululemon jacket. And how many times have I worn it out of the house since I bought it? Probably over a year ago. 0. Yeah, it's so uncomfortable. It's just not my style at all. But it was like a hopeful purchase. I bought it thinking, you know, okay, if I spend this much money on it, surely I'm gonna use it. So yeah, that's a thing that I kind of identified that I was doing a lot. No more hopeful purchasing for me is a big one going forward.
In 2025, I was the most mindful of my spending that I have ever been in my entire adult life. So hats off to me. But with that being said, these are kind of a lot of repeated rules that I used in 2025.
You know what? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. If you had rules that worked for you last year, stick with them this year.
I'm struggling to make myself smaller, so just bear with me. First up is water bottles, cups, plates, because I have plenty of that and I don't need the newest trending aesthetic water bottle. The one I have is reusable for a reason. Number 2, perfume,
yes,
lotion,
reusable for a
skincare.
reason. Exactly.
I was hesitant to put this one because of recent events. If you know, you know. But I have plenty of all 3 of these things that I need to use up before they expire.
Wait, what did she mean if you know, you know? I feel left out. What don't I know?
I'm really happy with my current everyday makeup routine. It works really well for me and my skin. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Number 4 is PJs, because that is definitely one thing that I do overconsume and I need to get a grip. Candles, unless they are books. I love reading. I love encouraging other people to read, but I have quite a few books on my bookshelf that I will not pick up and read, and I'm kind of in a slump right now. A new book is not going to change that. I have perfectly good books.
Books and book talk is something that a lot of people ask me to talk about. I did speak about this on one of my live streams a while ago, but I don't know anything about books. That makes me sound really stupid. I mean, I don't know anything about kind of like the online culture surrounding books and buying books, overconsumption in books, book talk. I can imagine there's a lot of it out there, as with every other thing, but to be completely honest, the only reading that I do is on AO3. Actually, that's a lie. I did read a book a couple months ago. I read Stormbringer. I don't know, like, I get my fix from fanfiction, okay? Don't look at me like that. I feel like I get a lot of people asking me to talk about things that I don't really know much about. And it's not that I'm like, I will never talk about that because I am not interested in it. Like, I will educate myself on things in order to talk about them, but I think it is so important to educate yourself on things before you talk about them. There is nothing that I hate more than people who use their social media platforms to talk about things and spread information on things when they have no idea what they're talking about. It's just silly, like, you're spreading misinformation. And trust me, like, I make quite opinionated content on social media, you guys know this, but I make that opinionated content knowing that I have thought about it from all perspectives. You know, like, I always talk about these influencers making like overconsumption content. I get why they do it. Trust me, I've spent a lot of time thinking about it from their perspective. I have been a content creator myself that has made overconsumption content. I've lived that life. I get it from their perspective. Sometimes I get comments from people saying like, I think you're only looking at this from one perspective. I'm like, no, you don't understand. I am very like big on not talking about things unless I feel like I understand it fully. So this is why I'm not kind of like quick to jump on other topics before I know what I'm talking about. I guess maybe book talk is something that I will get to eventually in terms of talking about it. That being said, in the past there have been a couple of books that I have bought and just like not read. Some of you guys know I'm a big anime enjoyer, so for me there is that temptation to like, if there is an anime that I really like, I'm like, oh, maybe I should buy the manga. But I have done a very good job of holding myself back from doing that so far.
And then we have random supplements. I don't know if it's just me, but I constantly see supplements
about
supplements
like
always marketed as like life-changing and holistic way to decrease.
Oh my gosh, wait, I kind of relate to this. Okay, it's nice to hear somebody talk about this because I feel like nobody's talked about this yet. But I kind of feel the same way about this one. I am always like forever going into a store, just walking around, having a look, and I will see, you know, like the big aisle with all of like the health supplements, the vitamins, the electrolytes. And the thing is that like everything on these products is claiming to improve your life. It's claiming to improve your health, improve your well-being. And you know, like who doesn't look at a bottle of magic gummies and think, oh, wait, these gummies are gonna make me healthier? And they're gonna make me more energetic, and they're gonna make my bones stronger, and they're gonna make my hair grow longer. Like, who doesn't want that, you know? So yeah, I feel like this is one that does get me sometimes. I never end up actually buying any of this stuff because I am very big on like reading reviews for products before I buy them. And whenever I have been really tempted by something in a store, I'll always like whip up my phone, read the reviews, and the reviews are always like kind of not great. So luckily I have never kind of like actually walked out of a store with one of these things. But oh my goodness, I know very well that the temptation is real. I think the last one that I nearly like tried to get into was collagen. You know, like taking collagen supplements, you know, you get those like gummies, I think, and they're like, yeah, it makes your hair grow longer, makes your nails grow stronger, makes your skin clearer, and obviously those are all things that I would love. But the thing I noticed with collagen is that you can get like little bottles of collagen tablets, I guess, and it will be like 30 tablets for like, I don't know, £5, and you're like, oh, that's not bad, you know, like a month's supply for like a $5, that's like $7-8, and then you read the back and it's like, take 4 a day. Like, what do you mean take 4 a day? Like, damn, okay, so this supply is gonna last me like what, a week now? Rather than a month? Yeah, that's not as cheap anymore, actually. So yes, I get it, and I'm glad somebody mentioned it.
I've tried quite a few and they don't work, so I'm gonna stick to what my doctor prescribes me and stop falling for this. Last but not least is clothing and accessories that are for specific occasions, unless I don't have anything that's appropriate. And if you're wondering why clothing and accessories are not a no-buy period, that's because I really didn't buy a ton of clothes this year. Honestly, I've been really intentional about decluttering my closet and getting rid of all of the junk.
I am very much in the same boat as this creator in that like my no-buy list for next year / this year, I'm filming this in 2025. My no-buy list for 2026 doesn't include no clothes because I don't buy clothes very often. If I buy clothes, it's because it's something that I need. I live in England, but I'm in a long distance relationship with someone that lives in California. So I am like constantly swapping between England and California, which are two places that have very, very different climates. For those of you that don't know, England is quite often very cold, rainy, dull, windy. And then California is, you know, sunny, palm trees, the beach, that kind of thing. But now that I do spend a lot of my time in California, especially during the summer, I basically now have like a whole second wardrobe to suit that climate. So yeah, all of the clothes that I buy do kind of end up fulfilling like a functional purpose. In terms of buying clothes for kind of like style and fashion, I'm not really into that.
I'm not broke, I'm just not wasting my money in 2026. Welcome to my no spend list of 2026 and things I will not be buying or trying not to buy. Number 1 is going to be super hard for me. That is going to be new cameras or new camera equipment. I'm always the type of person that's like, quality, I need better quality, I need better quality. I really just need to work with what I have and kind of suck it up. The next new thing is going to be no new iPhones. Unless my iPhone breaks, I do not need a new one. The next is going to be no nail salon visit.
I feel like we are seeing a lot of things being repeated in these videos at this point, which is interesting because it does show us that a lot of people are having the same kind of like issues with consuming. Things like iPhones, the constant need to have a new iPhone. Things like salon visits, the constant need to keep up with this almost kind of like maintenance of things like nails, hair appointments, eyelash appointments, things that probably when we were a little bit younger were like nice things to do for ourselves, but as we get older, becomes more like a routine kind of like maintenance thing.
I am not going to the nail salon to get my fingers done when I could be doing them myself at home as I have been. No coffee unless I'm out with the girls or someone buys it for me, but I am not buying coffee for myself when there's coffee or tea at home. Limiting subscriptions, it's going to be streaming and apps unless I need it for work or content creation. Sale items just because they're on sale. These ads get me every single time. When I see a good ad.
This is the first time we've heard someone talk about sale stuff, and it's a very, 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 very good point, and something that I'm probably a little bit guilty of myself. I love a good bargain. But what that can sometimes turn into is buying things unnecessarily just because they're on sale. If I feel like I'm getting a bargain, then I'm like, might as well. But I'm really trying to kind of like talk myself into the idea that like, just because I'm buying something that costs £10 when it used to cost £20 doesn't mean I'm saving £10, because I'm still spending £10 on something that I wasn't originally planning on buying.
And clothing just because it is trending. Mom, I'm recording. Clothing just because it is trending. I do not need it. My closet is falling off the bone. It is breaking. It's breaking. I do not need anything else in my closet.
That was a good video.
Sit on my face, baby. Don't let it
Hello?
go away.
I need to get off TikTok.
I tracked every single dollar that I spent this year, and it's changing how I'm going to spend in 2026. This is my no buy list as a financially responsible 26-year-old, trying to stay debt free and also build a 5-figure emergency fund. First thing I will not be buying is fast fashion. My 2026 theme for buying clothing is buy it nice or buy it twice. So when it comes to style, I'm definitely prioritizing longevity and quality over fast fashion and quantity. I also feel really good about my wardrobe for the winter season, so I don't need any more clothing.
So yeah, we're seeing that phrase again, buy it nice or buy it twice. Yeah, I'm not really sure like how I feel about this phrase, purely because I just feel like I need to sit down and like have a think about it. As I said, I don't like kind of sharing my opinions about things until I've given myself time to think about them. Off the top of my head though, like, yeah, I guess like buying it nice is often the better option unless you are just kind of like buying for the brand. I have bought a lot of kind of like cheap things that have lasted me a long time, sometimes lasted me longer than expensive things. But then obviously you have to look at like, okay, are those materials like good materials? Was it like fast fashion? I don't know. There's a lot of elements to the whole clothing thing that I am not kind of like properly clued in on. So yeah, I feel like I need to have a little bit more of a think and maybe a little bit more of a research about clothes specifically and like clothing consumption before I properly like give my thoughts on this. But obviously like you guys know me, you know my general vibe and my general opinion. The less things that end up in landfill, the better. Obviously things like fast fashion in the bin. Wait, not in the bin. Okay, in the bin was a poor choice of phrasing for me. Fast fashion, not doing that is what I was meant to say. The bin is metaphorical, okay? It's the metaphorical 2026 trash can.
Second thing I will not be buying is unnecessary subscriptions. Amazon Prime, Apple Music, ChatGPT, they all gotta go. At least for now, because of small
I'm sorry, we're buying ChatGPT subscriptions?
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man.
Oh, people actually do that? There's a lot of things that I could say right now. I'm gonna choose not to say any of it. If you have a ChatGPT subscription, get rid of that.
Why do I have to pay a subscription service for everything nowadays? It's crazy. And number 3
That's true,
is
though.
alcohol. I'm abstaining from alcohol for Q1, and after Q1, I'm going to decide if I want to extend it or not. For context, I track all of my spending using my finance tracker. And last year, I did the math. I spent $1,939 on drinking and nightlife. And that's money that could go straight to my emergency fund.
It is super interesting to track everything that you spend and evaluate that. Obviously, some people are super into it. I am not that into it, to be honest, just because I feel like I get a little bit too obsessive about it and it ends up stopping me from doing things that make me happy. So yeah, I feel like I guess it depends on what kind of person you are. Some people like to be able to track every single dollar that they spend and think of it as like, okay, I want to put that money elsewhere. Obviously, in this creator's instance, they are focusing on building up that like emergency fund. So I guess it just depends on what your priorities are. That's something that you just got to figure out for yourself and, you know, work out where you want that money to be distributed.
Here's what's on my 2026 no-buy list. Number 1, beauty backups, hair care, skin care, body care. Every time there's another Sephora sale or Ulta coupon, I find myself buying another backup of something because I cannot resist a sale.
I feel like beauty backups and like the concept of having beauty backups is really big. I have been guilty of it myself in the past, especially with things like shampoo and conditioner. Not so much things like, you know, like makeup and skincare and stuff, because that stuff lasts me a long time. Things like shampoo and conditioner, I go through a lot. So I feel like often if I see that there's like a sale on, or if there's like, you know what got me recently? There was a sale on Aussie stuff, and it was like buy 3 for £10, and I was already using an Aussie like shampoo and conditioner at that time, so I thought, oh, you know what, I will just buy 3 more kind of like backups for £10, because Aussie can be a little bit expensive over here in England. £10, just get it done with, I can have them in the cupboard, I then won't be tempted to like buy any more. I think that was like 8-9 months ago, and I'm fairly certain 2 of those bottles are still unopened, just because I have not got round to using them. I think in August as well, I got gifted some Redken shampoo and conditioner for my birthday, so that kind of like took priority over the older Aussie stuff. So yeah, I guess these backups just end up kind of like getting more and more backed up. I feel like it's like, you know, the store is always going to be there unless you use something that you know is about to like, what's the word, stop existing, get discontinued. Or if you know that you use something that's like a limited edition version, then like, yeah, okay, maybe stock up if you know that you are going to continue using that product for a long time. But if it's something that you know is gonna still be in the store in like 2 months time when you actually need it, then like just wait and buy it then.
Number 2 is almond milk and granola. Yes, that's kind of silly. It's only going to
That's
save me a couple $100s a year.
Okay.
Aside from like the financial benefits, it's also going to benefit my health. Because in 2025, I learned how to make my own almond milk and granola at home. And when I tell you, it is so easy. And it also costs 1/4 of the price versus buying it at the store. And you also get to control what ingredients you put in, so like no unhealthy oils. 3 is sneakers. I bought 2 pairs of sneakers in 2025, and I feel like I have a good enough sneaker collection. I have colorful sneakers, white sneakers, a black pair of sneakers. I really don't need any more sneakers in 2026. Number 4 might be the hardest for me. That's going to be unnecessary thrifting or just buying thrifted clothes.
The thrifted clothing one is interesting. I feel like often you can think in the way of kind of like, if I'm thrifting things, if I'm buying from charity shops, then like, yeah, it's always gonna be good, like 100%. And it is, like, it is great. Thrifting, charity shopping, great stuff. But if you're doing that a lot and ending up with a lot of clothes, a lot of extra belongings, just because you're kind of like telling yourself that it's fine to do because you're thrifting, I guess it can kind of have a little bit of like a reverse effect, which I was at one point. Like, I used to be so into like going into all the local charity shops. I would buy so much stuff. I would buy like oversized men's t-shirts. I would buy big sweaters. I would buy so much stuff. And I feel like I was doing it with the kind of like mentality that like, yeah, this is fine because I'm supporting a local charity shop. And like, yeah, that's great. Don't get me wrong. Like, those are great things to do. But like, I was buying so much stuff. I was buying so many clothes all the time. And especially things, you know, like charity shops, a lot of the clothes can be quite cheap. So you end up just like buying and buying and buying and collecting more and more clothes. I guess doing things like charity shopping and thrifting is really good to do in moderation, as long as you don't end up kind of like accidentally overconsuming in the process. Let me know what is on your no buy list for 2026, or if you have any rules that you are going to try and stick to in terms of boundaries and limitations on what you're spending. I've already posted about my no buy list on YouTube Shorts, so feel free to go to my Shorts tab and have a look at what's on my no buy list. Don't forget that if you're on mobile, you can hype up the video by scrolling along the buttons and clicking hype. This helps get my video shared to more people, so if you do this, thank you. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!